Welcome to the Revit Fundamentals video. We're going to start by creating a project that incorporates many of the fundamental tools that we can use in Revit, along with new features and tips along the way. Towards the end of the project, additional features will be covered along with additional resources posted in Blackboard. We'll hold our left mouse button down at the top of the Properties palette and drag it across to the other side. If you were working with dual monitors, you can pull it right off the screen onto the other monitor. Pull your mouse to the right until you see that the Properties palette changes its shape, and let go to dock it. You can also use the letters PP on the keyboard to turn on and off the Properties palette. In the project browser, you'll have several views that you can create and eventually put those views on your sheets. On the right hand side, you have the instant properties of that specific element that you have selected, and the type properties under the edit type to control all instances of that specific family element. We'll be coming back to the interface features towards the end of the video once we've created a project and went through some of the basics. So for now, let's save the file. You can pick the floppy disk icon at the top left, or pick the big R at the top left, highlight New, and go to Project. You'll be asked if you want to use a template, so for now, let's go ahead and pick OK. If you're using Revit 13, be careful in this new template default, because it defaults to a construction template instead of an architectural template. You'll need to use the drop down to change it to an architectural template. Go ahead and pick OK. Then navigate to the folder that you'd like to save your file in and type in Assignment 1 and then your name. And then pick Options at the bottom right corner, and under Maximum Backups you'll see that Revit has 3 backups, which creates several additional files. You can type in 1 and pick OK. Go ahead and pick Save. Let's start by adding a new level. We can go to the south elevation by double-clicking on South in the project browser, and notice that we already have a level 1 and a level 2. So in the Home tab, we'll pick Level, and then rest your pointer at the end of this level 2, pull your mouse up until you see 10 feet, and then left click. Pull your mouse to the right until you see that dashed blue line, and then left click again. Use your escape key to cancel the command. Then let's go to level 1 and start the wall tool. We'll use the basic wall, generic 8-inch, and we'll change the height in the options bar to level 3 for the exterior walls. We'll use the rectangle tool in the draw panel, and then left click and pull your mouse across. And for this assignment, we won't be concerned with the exact dimension. We'll go ahead and left click. Now we'll change from rectangular to line as the tool to draw the wall, and change the height to level 2. Take the check mark out of chain so that you can draw an individual wall here and one here. We'll go to the door tool, and before you left click, use your space bar to flip the door swing. We'll just put a couple of doors here and one here. Then select the tag for the door, just the tag, right click, go to Hide View and Category, and place a few windows in the west wall or the left side. You can also select the window tag
right click, go to Hide in View and Category.
You can use the wheel of your mouse to zoom closer to the windows, or in the navigation bar to the right of the screen, you can use some of these other zoom commands to zoom close to the window, select the window. You can use these small flip symbols to change the location of the glazing. In the same way, you can use it on the doors to flip the swing and location of the door.
In the Access toolbar at the very top, we can pick this little house icon, or we can go to the View tab here and pick the 3D view. These are two ways of getting to the 3D view. I'll go back to the Home tab and click on the Access toolbar 3D icon and take a look at what we've done so far. We have an outside wall that goes up to level 3 and interior walls that go to level 2. Let's go to level 2 and put a floor in. And now we can go to Floor and select here the Floor tool. We're sketching the floor, so we have all of these options for drawing it. We can use the default, which is pick walls, or we could use a rectangle. The first wall that you select is going to establish the direction of the structural floor layout. So we'll select here the wall on the left side, and notice that these two double lines will establish that the structural layout is going in this direction. I'll continue to select the walls and then pick the rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle here to establish an opening in the floor. So when you're working with stairs, you can cut an opening in the floor here as you're sketching it. So you have a lot of flexibility here for creating splines and other openings, curves. If I wanted this to be an ellipse, I could make an ellipse opening. Let's go ahead and pick the green check mark to finish the floor tool. And we would like to have the walls go up to the floor. Let's go ahead and pick yes. And we'd like to join the geometry, so let's go ahead and pick yes again. And there's our floor. If we go back to the 3D view, now that it's in the project browser, you can pick the plus sign next to 3D view and double click on 3D. And you'll see that we have our floor with an opening in it. Now let's take a look at adding a ceiling. We can go to the level 1 ceiling plan in the project browser and double click. You'll see that now we're looking up towards the floor. In the Home tab, we can go to Ceiling, and then you have a choice of using automatic ceiling or sketch ceiling. So there is flexibility in just about everything that we draw in Revit, in that we have that sketch mode to determine our design. We'll go ahead and left click here using the default 2x4, and then we'll change this ceiling style to gypsum wallboard on metal stud, GWB, and left click here. Use your escape key to end the command, and notice that the gypsum wallboard doesn't have a pattern on its surface. So if you rest your pointer on the wall and use the tab key to tab through the different elements that are close to that wall, you'll find the walls and the floor and the ceiling. When you get the ceiling highlighted, left click so that you can select that gypsum wallboard on metal stud, pick the Edit Type button, go to the structure and select Edit. Here under the Finish, there's gypsum wallboard. We can select the small icon that's next to gypsum wallboard, and in the Materials, The gypsum wallboard does not have a surface pattern, so we can drop this list down here and scroll down to gypsum plaster and select it this way, or we can select this icon with the three dots and use this fill patterns dialog box. I'll go ahead and cancel that. So now we have a surface pattern. We can pick OK. Just wanted to point out to you that we are changing the gypsum wallboard material. If we wanted to create something that was new, as we see in several other features and tools in Revit, you can duplicate this material and create your own. But for now, we're going to keep the gypsum wallboard, and the only thing we changed was the surface pattern. Let's go ahead and pick OK. And then pick OK again. We can apply this and pick OK. And there's our surface pattern that we can see. Now we can load light fixtures that we can use in our ceiling. We can go to the Insert tab and pick Load Family. And then under Lighting Fixtures, we have several lighting fixtures here to choose from. We'll use the troffer light that's 2x4. Go ahead and pick Open, and then pick the Load Family button again. Go to Light Fixtures, and we'll bring in here Downlight Recessed Can for our recessed light. And then if we go to the Home tab, we can select Component and place a component. In the Type selector, find that troffer light at the bottom of the list here and pick out the 2x4 2-lamp 120 volt. And as you come into your ceiling plan, you'll see that we can left click to place that light fixture. We can bring in an 8-inch incandescent recessed light and design your own light system. Also, as an option, you can go to the Lightolier website, find the product that you want to use for your project under the product lines, and then as an option, go to Resources and Technical Downloads to find the BIM content and the current BIM list of zip files that you can use to bring in specific light fixtures into your project. Going back to the Revit file, you can load other light fixtures. Holding your control key down, you can select more than one and load several at one time. I loaded a pendant light, and so when you place those light fixtures, you can select them and use the arrow keys if you need to move them around, or you can use these temporary dimensions to place them in specific locations. Now let's go to the level 1 view and add furniture. In the same way, we can load the furniture and then place it. In the furniture folder, you'll find several pieces of furniture to choose from. We will be taking a look at customizing families later in the semester. I use the chair, desk, and then hold your control key down, and I use desk. But you can go ahead and select a desk and a chair or a table if you'd like to scroll down and pick a table, and then pick Open, and then go to the Home tab and pick Component and place a component. You'll see the chair. I'm going to go ahead and place a chair here, and then using the space bar I can rotate the other chair and place it here. And then in the Type selector, I'll change the desk to a student desk and use the space bar to rotate that desk and place it. You can select the chair and use the arrow keys to move it to a different location. Going to the View tab, we can create an elevation, and when we pick elevation, take a look in the type selector. There's a building elevation and an interior elevation. So let's go ahead and pick interior elevation, and we can place our elevation in our room. If you select the interior elevation, you can use the check mark to add additional elevations. And notice when you do this in the project browser, now you have two categories, one for building elevations and the other one for the interior elevations. Selecting the marker, I'm going to take the check mark out of elevation 1A and then pick OK to delete it. And notice that it comes out of the project browser. You can also use this tool to rotate the elevation if you have an angled wall or you want it to face a different direction. If in the project browser I highlight this elevation and right click, I can rename it to interior elevation and pick OK. It'll automatically rename the marker. If you select the marker, you can change here in the plan the extent of how much is shown in that interior elevation, or you can double click on the interior elevation in the project browser and select the boundary to modify the display. Going back to the level 1 floor plan, we can select in the View tab our section. Left click, pull your mouse across, and left click again. And notice that we have some of those same features here for showing the extent of the section. You can flip which direction it shows, and you can cycle through and change the different section heads for each side. Select this small break line here to separate the head and the tail of the section and modify its location. Selecting it again will give you the entire line. You can also split the segment. So if I pick split segment and I use this small pencil icon, I can select here the section I'd like to split, pull my mouse up and left click so that I can modify the portions of the floor plan that the section line will run through. If you use the escape key, you can then double click on the section head to open that view. Another way of getting to that section would be to use the project browser and double click on section 1.